It started with a coffee. Not just any coffee, but one served cold, bitter, and with a side of disrespect. The man sitting alone at table 4 didn't complain. He never did. Gray hair tucked under a ball cap with a faded eagle emblem, jacket, zipped to his chin despite the heat, wrinkled hands folded neatly on the tabletop. He looked invisible. To most, except one. But not in the way you'd expect, because that morning, something happened in this small-town diner that would echo across social media feeds, living rooms, and hearts, long after the coffee cooled. And it all began with a waiter. The sun had barely climbed over the ridge when Ed Collins walked into Maggie's diner, like he did every Thursday since his wife passed. Same seat, same coffee, same silence. Ed was a Korean war vet, not the medal-waving kind. The kind who bore his service like a tattoo, etched deep, seen by few. To the staff, he was that quiet old guy. To Tyler, the young waiter working his third shift, just another slow tipper wasting a table. Tyler was 22, ambitious, stretched, thin, college loans, rent due, dreaming of a big city life with zero patience for people who took up space without spending much. So when Ed ordered just a cup of black coffee, Tyler's response was short, clipped, dismissive. "You gonna nurse that all morning again? Or can I expect a real order today?" The words hung in the air like smoke. A few nearby customers glanced up, unsure if they'd heard right. Ed just blinked slowly, gave a faint nod, and whispered, "That'll be all, son." Tyler rolled his eyes and walked away, not noticing. The man sitting 2 tables behind Ed, watching, wearing a crisp suit, a weathered face, eyes sharp with experience. General Henry Marshall wasn't here for eggs or toast. He'd been driving cross-country, visiting VA hospitals, reconnecting with people he once commanded, trying to bridge a world that too often forgot its own. This diner stop? Unplanned. But maybe not accidental, because the moment he saw Ed, he froze. Not in fear, but in recognition. Ed Collins, the man who had once saved his life on a mountainside in Korea, 1952. The last time he'd seen Ed, they were both half broken, half buried in snow, fighting not just enemies, but time. Now there Ed sat, alone, disrespected, and unrecognized. General Marshall stood slowly. Tyler was wiping down a counter when the bell above the door jingled again. He barely looked up. The general walked past him without a word, stopped beside Ed's table. And then he did something that made the diner fall silent. He snapped to attention and saluted. Not casually, not politely, but sharply, fully, with the precision of a man still in uniform, though he hadn't worn one in years. "Sergeant Edward Collins," he said, his voice strong. "Permission to join you, sir?" Ed looked up, eyes glassy, confused. Then his lips trembled into a smile. "Henry?" he whispered. "Henry Marshall?" People watched in stunned silence. Tyler dropped his towel. They sat together for the next 20 minutes, sharing nothing but memories, quiet laughter, and coffee that had gone cold long ago. Tyler stood behind the counter, unsure what to do. The general's words echoed through the diner as he told the nearby customers about Ed's story. How Ed had crawled through enemy fire to drag 2 wounded men to safety. How he had never accepted a medal. How he had disappeared into quiet retirement, never asking for praise or recognition. People who once overlooked Ed were now leaning forward. One woman wept silently. A man removed his cap. Someone paid for Ed's meal. But the general wasn't done. He stood once more, walked to the front of the diner, and addressed everyone. "This man," he said, pointing to Ed, "is a hero. He's the reason I'm alive. And he deserves respect." Then, turning to Tyler, "I don't know how you were raised, son, But today you have a choice. You can keep seeing old men as invisible, or you can open your eyes. The room was heavy. With silence, Tyler, ashamed, red-faced, stepped forward. "I'm sorry, sir," he said, eyes down. But Ed reached out and gently touched his arm. "You can sit with me too, son," he said. "Sometimes we all forget what matters." From that day on, things changed at Maggie's Diner. Ed never had to wait for a refill again. Tyler never forgot to ask how his Thursday mornings were going. And every so often, the general came back, just to check in. The story went viral within days. A cell phone video captured the salute, the silence, the tears. Comments poured in. "My grandpa was treated like this too. Thank you for honoring them. I served. I cried watching this. This made me call my dad and say thank you." But for Ed, it was never about going viral. It was about being seen. Just once, by someone who remembered. Sometimes the loudest lessons come from the quietest tables. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes or stars. They wear old jackets and carry memories no one sees. And sometimes, justice doesn't come in a courtroom. It comes in a salute. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to honor someone you know in the comments. Subscribe for more real-life stories that restore your faith in humanity. And remember, sometimes all it takes to change a life is to simply see it.